Have you ever made a mistake that turned out to be the biggest miracle of your life? In the heart of Ibadan, a poor single mother sent a desperate text, just one message begging for help to feed her starving child. But the message landed in the hands of a billionaire she had never met. What happened next was something no one could have predicted. This isn't just a story of hunger. It's not just about money. It's about fate, mercy, and the way life sometimes turns when we least expect it. Before we begin, if this story touches your heart, please give it a like. Share it with someone who needs to hear that miracles still happen. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss more emotional African folk stories like this one. Now let's go back to where it all began. Omotara had always been a fighter. In her tiny one-room apartment in Sango, Ibadan, she lived with her 3-year-old son, Tunde, who had the brightest eyes, but a stomach that hadn't known a full meal in days. Her husband had abandoned them shortly after Tunde's birth. No calls, no letters, no explanation. Omotara survived by sewing clothes for people in her community. But when a fire broke out in the Dugby market and her shared workspace burned to ashes, everything collapsed. No clients, no machines, no hope. She tried everything, borrowed from neighbors, cleaned houses for pennies, but still no food. On one hot afternoon, with the sun pressing down and her child coughing from hunger, Omotara stood in front of a mobile money kiosk. She had just enough credit to send one text to Auntie Biola, a former neighbor who had helped her in the past. Her fingers trembled as she typed, "Auntie, please, I beg you. My baby has not eaten. Even pap, I can't buy. Anything, please." Then she pressed send. She didn't know the number had changed. Later that evening, her phone buzzed again. A notification popped up. 500,000 credited to your account. She stared, frozen. She thought it was a scam. Running to the kiosk, the attendant confirmed it was real. Omotara fell to her knees in the dirt. People watched as she cried, loud, shaking sobs. They thought she had lost her mind. But no, she had just found a miracle. The next day, Chief Namdi called again. "This money is not a gift," he said. "It's a beginning. If you're serious about changing your life, I'll help you." Omotara agreed. With the help of Namdi's foundation, she was enrolled in a business management class. She learned how to run operations, manage money, even register her own brand. A small shop was rented in her name. New sewing machines were delivered. And just like that, Terra Threads was born. Omotara cried the first day she opened the shop. She touched every spool of thread like it was gold. And when she got her first customer, a school teacher needing uniforms, she sewed for 12 hours straight without stopping to eat. Her hard work paid off. Word spread. Soon, local boutiques came knocking. Then came orders from churches and schools. She hired her first apprentice, then another, then 2 more, and every month she sent updates to Chief Namdi, not because he asked, but because he had believed in her when no one else did. Months passed. Omotara's story started circulating on WhatsApp groups and church pulpits. They called her the Tailor of Destiny, the woman who texted the gods. In markets, people told the story like a folk tale. A poor woman begged the gods and sent her message into the wind. The gods answered with gold. Even elders adapted it for their grandchildren, adding magical birds and thunder that struck her sewing machine with divine power. Meanwhile, Chief Namdi remained silent. He didn't do interviews. He didn't post her photos. When asked why, he said, "Let her work speak louder than her pain." 1 year later, Omotara stood outside her shop, holding a certificate of excellence from the local council. She now had 6 employees. She had contracts from 3 schools. And her son, Tunde, was back in school, smiling, chubby, and full of energy. She no longer cried to strangers. She now gave food to other mothers in need. Chief Namdi still checked in every few months. "How's the shop? Still serious?" He never asked for anything. He never reminded her of what he gave. But Omotara remembered. One evening during a local women's conference, She was invited to speak. She stood before 200 women and said, "I sent one message. I thought it was a mistake, but that mistake became my miracle." The crowd wept. A few months after her speech, Omotara received a call, not from Chief Namdi, but from his personal assistant. "There's something you should know," the woman said gently. "Chief Namdi lost his wife and daughter 3 years ago in a car crash. His daughter would have been your son's age now." Omotara froze. He never tells anyone that. But the day he got your text, it was the anniversary of their death. The line went silent. Tears rolled down Omotara's face. That's why he responded. Not just out of kindness, but because he saw his daughter in Tunde. It all made sense now. Sometimes pain recognizes pain. Chief Namdi wasn't just rescuing a stranger, he was healing his own soul. But not everyone celebrated her success. Back in Sango, an old friend named Abike, who once helped her during hard times, began to spread rumors. She told people Omotara had seduced a politician for money. She accused her of acting holy but living off sugar daddies. The whispers grew. Clients hesitated. People began avoiding her shop. Omotara was devastated. One day, she saw Abike at a bus stop and walked up to her calmly. "If you needed help," Omotara said, "you could have just asked." Abike burst into tears. She confessed that jealousy had taken over her heart. She was struggling, abandoned, and bitter. Omotara didn't yell. She didn't curse. Instead, she handed Abike a sewing machine from her storage. "Start again," she said, "like someone once helped me." The next day, Abike made a post on Facebook. "I betrayed my friend, but she gave me grace. If anyone deserves to be blessed, it's Omotara." The tide shifted once again. Omotara wasn't just respected now, she was revered. Years later, when Tunde turned 10, Omotara decided it was time. She took him to Lagos to meet the man who had changed their lives forever. At first, Tunde was shy. He stared up at the tall, quiet man with eyes full of wonder. Chief Namdi smiled. "You know, young man," he said, "your mother saved me too. She reminded me how to feel again." Tunde nodded solemnly, then hugged him. In that moment, 3 lives that had once been torn by grief were bound together in healing. Before they left, Chief Namdi handed Tunde a small leather book. "Keep a journal," he said. "Write your story, because one day, someone else might need your miracle." What if Omotara had given up? What if she had never sent that text? What if the shame of begging stopped her from speaking up? We wouldn't be telling this story. Her life would have quietly faded into hardship. Her son might never have walked into a better future. The billionaire might never have healed. But instead, she spoke up, even in fear, even by accident. And that's what made all the difference.